Hello and good afternoon. My name is Akila Mendez Valdez, and you are currently watching our very first NAWBO Member Love Live because we're changing our name a little bit. We used to call this our LinkedIn Live, and now we're broadcasting across multiple channels. So thank you for joining us today. I am joined by Marisol, Mari, as she is affectionately known, Weymouth. Hi, Mari, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me, Akila. Good to be here.
Awesome. We're so excited to have you. You are an incredible, incredible woman and just such a wealth of information about all the things that you are so good at helping your clients with. So, as the founder, CEO, People Whisperer official of People Whisperer Solutions, tell us a little bit more about what it is that you do.
Absolutely. Thank you, Akila. So, People Whisperer Solutions focuses on three pillars of service. Obviously, we enjoy and really thrive on working with partnering with organizations, but especially the people. It's the people side of progress and helping them. And so, we deliver leadership development services, and that means either helping the organization upskill their leadership skills, no matter where they are in the organization, and curating content that's really more specific to their area. Number two is strategy execution. Many organizations have great strategy sessions, great strategic plans, but I help to translate those into more actionable and executable ways of doing the work and being able to measure them throughout the year and have meaningful value realization. And then the third one is organizational change management. That's really helping in big transformation, whether it be digital transformation or process changes, helping the people side of change, helping them navigate, bringing them along the journey so they can accelerate adoption of services and tools and systems, and even ultimately get proficient in what they're doing so they can optimize that value proposition that they invested in.
Yeah, phenomenal. And you really, have worked for some of the largest companies here in San Antonio. Tell us a little bit about your background and how you acquired all of these lovely skills.
Yeah, great question. So yeah, born and raised here in San Antonio. I'm a first generation Latina and worked, HEB for several years. I even had my own bar for a couple of years as well, and then worked for CPS Energy for 15 years. And then in between there, I traveled the country for Black and Veatch, working for a global consulting firm, getting to work with utilities and helping them with all the things I just talked about, leadership, strategy, and change. So really had an opportunity with wonderful mentors to give me opportunities across the vertically across the organization to learn the ecosystem of how it works. And so all that goodness and experience and knowledge has really prepared me and equipped me to be effective in helping other organizations advance their mission.
hmm Yeah. Okay. I did not know the fun fact about owning a bar at work. That I love that nugget. I'm so glad you shared that. So as you were, going back into the corporate world with CPS and, doing this high level consulting, did you kind of know the whole time, hey, eventually I want to go off on my own again. I want to do my own, brand and thing, or was that a little bit more of a like surprise for you?
Yeah, I think my defining moment was when I was consulting for Black and Veatch as a consulting firm, and they entrusted me to start building a center of excellence for change management, which they didn't have, and so I helped build it. Then the next step was helping them to quote the scope and hours for a project. And when I had insights of that experience and the opportunity, that's like, oh my gosh, this is such a valuable service that
Mhm.
I realized that people are paying for me to do. I can do this. I'm already doing it. And
Yeah.
that to me was like, oh my gosh, I can do this. So even when I left Black and Beach, I went back to CPS Energy. That festered in my mind over the years. And
Yeah.
then in the summer of 2020, that's when People Whisper Solutions was born in July and said, I want to do this. And so I did it. And here I am. Yeah.
I love that. So you mentioned 2020, obviously a massive time of change for a lot of businesses, and you kind of have that experience with change management. I feel like right now as well, being an election year, a lot of things are,
Yeah.
the world is constantly, it seems, in flux and in chaos a little bit. So what advice do you have for companies that are trying to get a little bit more comfortable with that idea of change management and actually investing in that?
Oh, I think it's such a valuable tool and competency that I believe, developing and equipping people with change management understanding and strategies is pivotal. It's the catalyst for change. And
Mm,
it doesn't necessarily need to be a specific role, just across the organization, having that change culture. And a
yeah.
big part of that is leadership and emotional intelligence. I
Mm,
think my PhD in leadership, my dissertation was on emotional intelligence. And, the net of that dissertation suggests that if we were to invest in emotional intelligence across the organization, it really can help collectively really advance all the goodness, including change management. So really making that investment for organizations can be pivotal in really realizing the value of their efforts.
mm, mhm. I mentioned, obviously we're in 2024, an election year, but in 2025, we've also got a mayoral election here
Mhm.
in San Antonio. So, what advice would you also have for maybe like San Antonio specific businesses that are weathering the storm of construction or, anything else where they're feeling like, okay, my team has got to feel secure and the leadership has got to know how to navigate all of these waters. What would be kind of your 2 cents for them?
Yeah. Back to leadership. I think it's how we're showing up and really curating and cultivating a culture where people feel psychologically safe. And
Mm,
that requires us as leaders being mindful. I have this leadership toolbox workshop where it's about how even it starts with our mind. What is our mindset? How are we literally showing up based on the scenario and situations that we're in? Because it varies. Sometimes I have to show up as a follower, and
mhm,
sometimes I have to show up as a leader, depending on how effective can I be in that circumstance, and being mindful of people's preferences, right? I
mhm.
think that is a major component of creating that environment that we're all different. The diversity in thought is a beautiful thing. How do we embrace that and respect our differences no matter where we are? And especially in politics, and I, don't always recommend talking about politics, but really, but you still have to respect people's differences. And how do we do that where people feel comfortable and don't feel like they're under pressure or feel they have to tippy toe? It's just being respectful. And it's really about leadership. How are you curating that environment for others? But it does start with you. Are
Mm,
we demonstrating those behaviors?
mm. So, as a woman business owner, do you feel like there are certain characteristics of, a female founder, a woman business owner, that maybe we are able to create those cultures at a
Yeah.
different level or a faster, way to get there kind of thing? Is that something that you've seen in your experience?
Yeah, phenomenal question. This is my right now my why. Exactly what you asked. I've had a nonprofit empowerment group called I Empower. I was a co-founder, and I had stepped down when I started my business to focus on the business. But I've been a big proponent for empowering women. And as I was getting my PhD, I stumbled across a research that had nothing to do with my PhD, but I was just so intrigued because it was about women and men. And what it suggests, and I'm generalizing here because it's not always an exact, but generally speaking, women are more communal. That means they're more relationship based and nurturing. And most men, generalizing here, are more agency. That means they're more driven, goal oriented to get it done. But the
Mm,
ideal leader is to have both characteristics.
yeah.
And so when I read that, I said that makes a lot of sense. And so I self-assessed, subjectively, my communal relationships I feel are very, very strong. And when I assess my agency, although I didn't realize it at the time until I was assessing, I think my agency is pretty good. And I think because 30 of my years have been in male dominated industries.
Mm, mhm,
So I thought it was good, but not as strong as my communal. So what I have done deliberately since I saw that research is I really have been deliberate about honing in my agency characteristics and behavior. And that has been a game changer for me because
mm,
now I'm front and center. Now, I will say that the byproduct of that, Akila, is that sometimes it's frowned upon because it's people are not used to like a Hispanic Latina leaning in and
mhm.
being vocal. And so
Yeah.
some people may not embrace it as well, and that's okay. I just keep going. I understand that it might not be for everyone, but
Yeah.
that really has helped me to catapult my business and have confidence in being more agent with the things that I do. So I think that can be a game changer, absolutely, for women, for sure.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. I saw a quote the other day that said something to the effect of, "You are not responsible for the version of you that exists in other people's minds." So, to your point, you can be a strong Latina leader, and if somebody has a problem with that, that's more on them, right? That's
That's
not on.
exactly right. That's exactly right. Yeah.
Who would you say, you've had such a wonderful career and have worked with so many leaders, not just here in San Antonio, but beyond. Who would you say, and maybe even, some that you haven't met, but who would you say are some leaders that you really look up to or admire how they handle their culture and their team?
Yeah, I think I have many mentors and many leaders I admire. I think, when it comes to change or they're effective change makers, I mean, I admire that because they have to be able to bring a huge group of people along the journey for change and make the necessary impact.
Mm,
Paula Williams is my number one leader. I
mhm,
think having her as a mentor and watching her go through the ebbs and flows of leading a utility, right? African American woman in San Antonio and seeing how successful and even some of the tumultuous experience she's had, how resilient she still is. And then
mm,
the second part of that, she was also my mentor, and she believed in me more than what I believed in myself, and
mm,
offered me opportunities where I did not even think I could thrive. And guess what? I mastered how to learn, but it was because of her belief in me. Other leaders like Harriet Dominique, I think just community based. How do you give back to the community is important. Jeff Schmeck, who was one of my leaders, my bosses at HEB, taught me so much about. He saw something in me and gave me opportunities, but he taught me a lot about strategy. He taught me a lot about budgets, and
yeah.
so those are the kinds of leaders that I admire because they see something in me. And even though I'm not so much as interested, I remember one of my mentors said, "You pursue your master's in with a concentration in finance." I'm like, no, that's not my jam. And but I trusted him and I did. And guess what? One of the best decisions ever, because everything that we do in business, and I don't even if it's outside of business, has a financial component. So, I think that's an important aspect in leadership is to see what others are doing well. How do you want to bring into things that into you that make sense for you? Not that you're exactly emulating them, but take
Mhm.
those pieces that really can help you thrive and grow yourself.
Mhm, mhm. Yeah, 100%. What type of resources, you've obviously gotten a chance to learn and grow and have that personal development side through your company, company experience on the corporate side. But now that you've run your own business or you are running your own business, how has Nowbo filled that gap for
Uh,
you, if at all, to kind of be that resource?
Oh, I absolutely love NAWBO. I think it's one of the best organizations. I feel being an entrepreneur, as many have said before, you feel alone sometimes, especially when you're a solopreneur at first and you're growing. But every time, just being part of them, you are part of a family, and you're part of. And sometimes you do get to share some services, and sometimes you don't, and that's okay because it's beyond the services of each other. It's really this sisterhood of we're in the same spaces, or if we're not, how do we learn from each other? And just
Right.
having that space to share and communicate and learn from other is just incredible. I think such a value add to have such an organization and sister, even being here, right, giving
Yeah.
me the platform to showcase, I think is phenomenal. I'm forever grateful, and I highly recommend anybody that wants to be a part of this, please do. It's one of the best organizations I've been a part of.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Those are some really kind words. So, we certainly feel the same about you because you've done a wonderful job of getting involved and choosing to, spend your time not only at Nowbo events, but also, participating in a lot of different ways. So walk us through kind of some of your favorite ways that you've interacted with the chapter.
Yeah, I think two that come to mind is the high school foundation. How they help the high school graduates with their business planning and with business also giving that experience and exposure and to mentorship. I
Yeah.
absolutely love giving back, especially to young women, giving them the exposure that typically they would have maybe never have received because of the conditions or they're just not privy to it. So I think that's such a valuable experience that I really admire because you look at yourself, and at least for myself, I'm 55, and we didn't have that back then, right? And so now having that for them, it gives them that opportunity to thrive sooner versus than later. And then the second thing, I'm working on my keynote speaker uh, uh, um, skill sets, and I would had the opportunity to participate in NAMBO's first TED Talk like
Yeah.
event, which I so much appreciate it because it's helping me hone my presentation and my story, and that
Mm,
was phenomenal. So, and I got to hear about the other women, and so it's a great storytelling platform that
mhm.
helps you tell your story and then share it with others. And the byproduct of that, you connect with women and others like, oh my gosh, I didn't know that about you. Me as well, or how can we talk? And so it just really offers an opportunity to enrich relationships going forward.
Yeah, I'm glad you said relationships, because I think that there's so many networking organizations that feel very transactional, and
Mm-hmm.
been in those circles where people just like toss their card at you and then they like move on to the next person. And that TEDx, monthly meeting was a great example of, everyone that spoke. I feel like you got to know them on such a deeper level, and to share that space with them where they were being so vulnerable, was just such an honor. So, the other thing I was going to mention, if you're not going to, I will mention you were one of our Women Business Owner Award honorees last year as well. Um,
Yes, thank you for mentioning that. Yes.
Congratulations. And we just actually are getting ready to start, believe it or not, for the event next spring. We're getting ready to start all of the vetting of all the nominees we have. And that event is going to be a full blown gala this year. I don't know if you knew that. We're really
Yes.
stepping our game up in that capacity. So we're very excited. But how, in terms of your business, how can people work with you? What does that look like? And is there an ideal client that you really love to seek out?
Yeah, great question. So, one of the ways to connect with us, obviously, is reaching out to us via email, so we can make the connection and understanding what your needs are. We're very much about tailored solutions. I think that is such a unique proposition that uh, there's some similarities across organizations, but when it comes to the need where you're at, it's really understanding what you need, and we can offer. A prioritized list. Here's what you can do, and then be able to prioritize what is meaningful to them. And so I think that's an important aspect of really, and then looking at our website. We try to curate our content and update it as much as possible so that they can get more context around some of the services as well. So a combination of those things, reaching out to us, looking at our website, and even on my LinkedIn is very, very active, and try to keep things fresh, and provide resources and tools that organization can just borrow
Mm.
as needed, and get a taste of some of the offerings that we offer.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that makes people feel so much more comfortable to reach out if they feel like you're already willing to be so generous and willing to share resources. So that's a great strategy. And not just in San Antonio, too. You're open to working with clients kind of all over. You've been traveling and
Yeah.
expanding. So congratulations on that.
Thank you. Yes, we'll go global. I mean, we work with Visa as well, and it's been exciting to work with them because they're all over the world. And
Mhm.
although, I haven't with them, it's more virtual, but having to be able to provide services at night, or which is exciting for me. And yes, my
Yeah.
clock's a little off kilter, but I'm so just excited to help organizations across the world. I do travel the country quite a bit as well, so we're open to meet people where they're at, organizations where they're at, so that we can be as effective as possible.
Mm. Can you think of either a service, that you offer, or maybe a particular moment where you felt like you really had that sort of like breakthrough, or it's, a favorite kind of feeling that you get when you really sense that you're making an impact?
Yeah. Oh, I love that question. Yes, because it feels good, right? It's a sense of feeling, to your point. I think
Mm.
there was two. I did a strengths finder keynote workshop for over 150 people last
Mhm.
October. And I thought to myself, that's the biggest ever. I can do this, right? And of course they asked me, and when I presented, oh, the feeling was phenomenal. I felt everyone connecting, and felt so involved and engaged, and saw the goodness of knowing their strengths. That to
Mm.
me was one of the best feelings ever. And then the second one is, I'm now offering this curated leadership toolbox workshop that has been my signature workshop.
Oh.
And some people couple it with strategic alignment, where I help people understand what is strategy alignment, and then how do they execute that. When I
Mm.
bundle those two together, that has been a signature workshop that people have just given me some raving reviews, like, oh my gosh, this is really digestible content. No
Mm.
matter where you are in an organization, I truly mean it. No matter what role you have, these tools are so they're tangible, digestible, and applicable, that they can now apply in their day to day. I use them to this day. It helps me to be grounded, maintain my peace, and really be calm. Yes, we're humans and we tend to gravitate back, but it helps me come back to center. You know.
Right.
because sometimes we need that reminder. So these tools have really changed and transformed my life. They
Mm.
have transformed how I think, how I live, and then how I lead. So yeah, I think those are my two keynote or signature services. I would say.
Great examples. Great examples. So, if people are interested in getting in touch with you, I know you mentioned email. Tell us, what's the best way to get in touch with you and give us those links, or we can drop them in the chat here as well too.
Yes, the best way is our email is info@peoplewhisperers.com. That is probably the best way to get a hold of us, and then we can connect and start to schedule a time to meet. The other way, as far as keeping up with our offerings, LinkedIn, either my own or my People Whisper Solutions page offers new resources or services or just insights, thought leadership around leadership strategy and change management.
Mm.
But definitely the info@peoplewhispers.com is the best way to connect with us and schedule some time to understand where your needs are for your organization or even for yourself. We want to make sure that you're investing in yourself as well. I mean, that's probably the best investment you can make is in you.
Mm-hmm. 100%. So, if you are also interested in learning more about NAWBO and maybe making an investment in yourself in that capacity as well, you can scan that QR code that's right above us to be taken straight to our upcoming events. If you want to check us out, come to a couple events. We've got some free ones coming up here soon and our holiday social as well. So, those are some great opportunities to get to know the chapter before you become a member, or you can absolutely join right away if you'd like. But we'd love to see you, and you get to meet fabulous women just like Mari. And we are so glad to have you as part of our chapter, Mari. Thank you.
Thank you, Keela, for having me. And, to everyone else, yes, I think the best investment is in yourself.
Mm,
And just there's a lot of goodness in all that. So thank you for having me, and I hope you all reach out to me as well.
absolutely. All right. We'll see y'all the next time.